Monique and I want to thank Codet Vision Institute for sponsoring this episode. Pioneers in vision correction surgery and ophthalmology since 1986, Codet Vision Institute in Tijuana delivers world-class precision and life-changing results. So, we invite you to join the thousands who have traveled there the last 40 years for exceptional outcomes. You can find them at codetvision.com.
We came to Tecate because my husband had no papers.
My father was able to tell my mom, come across the border until you come to the bridge over the river and I will be in a hammock.
By the time the war and the difficulties ended, Tecate was home. El rancho es nuestra casa.
Of guests and employees are also in the community. So we have all these generational transfer of legacy as well.
We have so many friends around the world who come to the ranch.
The idea of doing this podcast is that not everybody has to live at the border to be a border master.
Olas Media presents Border Masters, the podcast where the U.S.-Mexico border takes center stage.
Gustavo is from Nogales. He has amazing credentials. So he's super knowledgeable of everything border, but we come from very different borders.
Monique is very good on the emotional intelligence. It's the personality that she has that allows people just to feel relaxed. It's part of letting the world know why has it been so successful to have that border and what has inspired them about the border.
Now here are your hosts, Gustavo and Monique.
Welcome to Border Masters, the podcast of cross-border leaders. I'm Gustavo de la Fuente, and I'm joined by my colleague and co-host, Monique Casellas. On Border Masters, we speak with individuals who not only understand the border, but actively shape it through leadership, vision, and responsibility. Today, we have the distinct honor, and I mean distinct, of being joined by Deborah Szekely, one of the great pioneers of the global wellness movement. Born in 1922, Deborah co-founded Rancho La Puerta in 1940 in Tecate, Baja California, a time when the concept of a wellness retreat did not yet exist. At just 18 years old, she helped build what began as a small health camp into what is now one of the most respected wellness destinations in the world. And really what started as a very simple setup, even with guests sleeping in tents, has become something truly extraordinary. Today, at 103 years old, Deborah remains a powerful symbol of vitality, discipline, and long-term vision. We are also joined by Sara Livia Brightwood, president of Rancho La Puerta, who is Deborah's daughter, and who has played a key role in shaping Rancho La Puerta's evolution over the past 2 decades. I had the opportunity to meet Deborah several years ago in San Diego. I remember how everybody, and truly everybody at that meeting, spoke about her with deep, deep respect and admiration. Sara, it's also a pleasure to meet with you today.
Thank you so much, Gustavo.
Thank you. And this is my first time meeting both of you, but I'm truly honored to have you both. And as I was telling you in the beginning, since we imagined this podcast, Gustavo and I, it was like, we really need to bring Rancho La Puerta because they are truly border masters for us. And I was also telling you that I've heard about Rancho La Puerta for years through the donors I have worked with. Google executives that go to Tecate, to Rancho La Puerta to recharge, San Diego philanthropists, very well-known philanthropists that also go on vacation and then go to Rancho La Puerta to relax. And they go there every year to reset. So what surprised me most is that they knew Tecate, Mexico, better than many people in Mexico because of Rancho La Puerta. So what you have built is truly extraordinary. Deborah, Sara, welcome to Border Masters.
Thank you so much.
Well, let's get started. Deborah, when you founded Rancho La Puerta back in 1940 with your husband, what was the problem? Was there a problem you were trying to solve?
We came to Tecate because my husband had no papers,
Okay.
and nobody sort of worried about it in Tecate.
Mm-hmm.
It was a small town, and we were very welcomed by the people.
Mhm.
And we created jobs, and, which is always welcome in a small community. And by the time the war and the difficulties ended, Tecate was home.
Mm-hmm.
El rancho es nuestra casa.
So my father came to Tecate without papers because he was a young Jewish man at the start of World War II
Yes.
from Romania and Hungary.
Wow.
And so he was not able to renew his passport or get visas in the United States or in Mexico. And he would have been deported back to Romania.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you find Tecate in the map?
We went to Mexico City.
Okay.
Okay.
And my husband then went again later on his own and called me and said he had some people we thought could help us, but were not able to. And so I said, well, we'll meet at the border and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
And there's a little town between Tijuana and Mexicali. Tijuana is too busy. Mexicali is too hot.
Yes.
They got it just right.
Like the three bears.
Mm-hmm.
We'll meet in Tecate. And we did.
Wow.
And so
And Tecate was so small then
we
that
got there before the brewery.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yes.
Tecate was really
Yes.
small.
my father was able to tell my mom, come across the border until you come to the bridge over the river and I will be in a hammock.
I
And he
get
was.
goosebumps listening to this.
And he was.
Wow. And so this is in 1940s, right?
Yes.
So it's 80 years ago.
Yes.
80.
85,
85 years ago.
86
That's
almost.
true.
Yeah.
Yes. And then, so when you saw that place and what did you imagine? What do you think? And from that moment to now, has the principle of what you
It's a
felt
beautiful,
changed?
beautiful resort. It's one of, according to some of the U.S. press, we are the #1 health resort.
Mm.
And that's what we have become. And it's been a gift from God.
And your husband and you, when you started this, it was really all about health, right?
It still is
And it
about
still is
that.
about health.
We are a health resort.
Ah.
And people come there and they know they will exercise all day long and they will get healthy and they will eat healthy, organically grown food. We have a great farm
Mm-hmm.
and we grow most of all we use.
Yes, yes. And, it seems today that this whole idea of wellness is like a global industry. All of a
It
sudden
is,
it
of
became
course. There's thousands of fitness resorts and health resorts now. It's a big business.
Do you think that some people misunderstand what health looks like in terms of the experience it
I think everybody has their own view, depending on their own health to a certain degree. But people know Tecate is famous for beer and Rancho La Puerta.
Yes. Yes. And when I look at all of this success, and there's so much, right? But were you and your husband super healthy back then? You knew you lived by these principles? Like, how did you?
No, I was raised as a pescatarian. I was originally a vegetarian.
Okay.
I see.
And then we lived in Tahiti for 8 years.
Okay.
And so we began to eat fish, which comes every day fresh.
Oof.
So we became pescatarians.
My mother's mother was vice president of the New York Vegetarian Society when my mother was tiny.
Okay.
So she was raised in this unusual way.
Okay.
And my father was a teacher and lecturer, writer, author, visionary, focused on health and well-being and holistic health. So there was always a spiritual, emotional, and physical component to his teaching. And that was unusual back then.
Yeah, and also in like this place, like Tecate now is called Pueblo Mágico, which I believe that's something that maybe you found and you were able to connect your upbringing, his knowledge, and said like, we will do it. But I don't even see if there's like fresh fish right now or at that time in Tecate. So how was it that you said like, okay, what our vision and our success aligns in this place?
No, we really felt that we were meant to be.
Hmm.
We accepted all these great gifts from God.
But I'm assuming at the beginning it must have been difficult just to start getting guests, or was it not that difficult?
My husband was very well known in certain fields. He had written many books, and he had lots of students who admired his work. And we were going to be settling in Elsinore, California, and then go to Tecate for certain lectures because my husband did not have U.S. papers. So we were going to sort of commute, but we ended up at the ranch, and the ranch welcomed us.
So he would say, contact his friends or people who knew of his work, and he would say, I've got this.
We had a real mailing list.
My father had a center in England called the International Health and Education, or the Center for International Health and Education. And so there were people that had been studying there, and they had a society and a newsletter, and there were people that maintained contact with the membership. So when my father came across the ocean, he brought that membership with him, so to speak. And during the war, people from England, from South Africa, from Australia, found their way to Tecate across the Atlantic Ocean and U-boat infested waters to come and live with him and study with him.
To follow him, right? Like a following. That's impressive. And when you look at Rancho now, what are you the most proud of?
Obviously, my family comes first. But the ranch itself, we have so many friends around the world who come to the ranch. Many of them come annually. When I walk around the ranch, I actually know. And my daughter knows the people there. They've been coming for years.
So you have built a community.
And so many of the adults come with their children, and they came as children with their parents.
It's passed on.
So
generation to generation, yes. So Deborah, you've had a very long and fruitful life. We were just talking about kind of your health, your habits growing up in, say, Tahiti, where you ate fish and vegetables and you're vegetarian for a time. What habits contributed more to this vitality that you have? What do you think?
At all times, you have a decision, a choice. When you look at a menu or you prepare food or everything, and I choose the healthy way. That's all.
It's very easy, right?
Yeah. It's a simple way of putting it, but it's true.
She also has a lot of curiosity, and she keeps learning, and a lot of purpose in her life. It's always been very mission driven.
Yeah. And Sara, can you, like, were you brought up kind of like with that same curiosity and the habits? Was that your intention when you were as a mother as well?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I grew up mostly at the ranch when I was little.
Okay.
All my schooling was in the States, but my free-range childhood was at the ranch. What my mom usually says about why it is that the ranch grew the way that it did and has the transformative qualities and why it figures why it's such an important presence in people's life is because of Mount Kuchuma. So Mount Kuchuma is a sacred place to the Kumeyaay, and the ranch is nestled in a valley at the foot of the mountain, and the mountain has this great healing energy. And the connection with nature in our valley was so strong. When I was a child, we had no electricity. There were no lights in Tecate. There weren't even street lights in Tecate. And so the sky was incredible, the night sky.
I can just imagine it. Mm.
And what at that time, I mean, when you had the guests, what is it that attracts them the most when they arrive? What is
The
it?
beauty of the gardens, the warm welcome, the incredible sense of community between guests. You see guests running with outstretched arms at another guest. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. And then you see them the same way with their favorite massage therapist.
Of course.
There's a real sense of family and relationships that get built up over the
connections.
years. And then the beauty of the gardens is probably what's noticed next. And then the programming, and then the incredibly delicious food.
Yeah. And I think it's relaxing like all along. Like you already, like the people that you attract, like you said, because of your husband's knowledge and all of his studies. Well, it's kind of like that anticipation when you go to on a vacation, right? You're already like thinking about that anticipation. You get there, we go no Baja, and that almost desertic is so relaxing. The warmth of the climate, the weather, I guess all of that and the community you have built contributes, correct?
Yeah. And the thing is, and the staff and the guests are good friends.
Mm.
It becomes very special.
But I think because that's something that you guys have built. Because how many other resorts we have gone to, and that
our people stay. When they come to work, they stay until they retire when they're 60. So they've been there since they were 30 or 20.
So you do something very well.
Yes. And I'm assuming that your staff is also very appreciative of what you've done, and many of them have stayed for a long time, for many years.
They stay there for their life.
Okay.
Until they're ready to retire.
And I'm super curious, and you said that your family comes first, and we have so many questions about Rancho La Puerta, but how did you met your husband?
Well, I met him in Tahiti.
Okay. Okay.
I was raised in Tahiti.
Okay.
And my mother met him.
Okay.
And just before we left Tahiti, she gave him and said, "We will be in San Francisco when you come back from Tahiti and in San Francisco. This is our address." And then he stopped to see us in San Francisco. Said, "I'm on my way to have a summer school in Escondido." And my mom took the address. And that summer, we went there, and then again at Christmas time.
Wow.
And at Christmas time, I had just graduated from high school.
Oh, wow.
And my husband's secretary, who was sort of running the place, had to go back to England because his stepfather had died, and he was the male figure in this large family. And so he had to leave, and I temporarily took over. But the person who came from Hungary came and arrived and looked around the place, and he got back on the same train and he got off.
Oh, wow.
This was in Guadalajara?
No.
In Oaxaca?
That was later. And this was in Tecate too.
But I love a good love story. So
yes,
that's beautiful.
Anyhow,
thank you.
It all worked beautifully.
I can see that. I can see that.
We figured the ranch mountain was a blessing.
I can see that.
Yes.
I'm going to fill in a few gaps.
Sure.
My father was creating summer camps.
Okay.
And so this was before the war started, even when he had the center in England, and England was where he was living. He would find a place in nature where he felt the climate was particularly conducive to human health, where there could be fresh food and vegetables in living soils, where people could exercise, where they could swim in water or be in hot springs. And so every summer he would take a group of people out into nature. And it was one of those summer camps where my mother and her mother went to meet him. Not in Tahiti, but in California, in Lake Elsinore. And then later, in Oaxaca. And so that was where where Purcell Weaver, his secretary, had to return to England. And my mother ended up being his secretary.
I see.
okay.
I see.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay. So
A lot of connecting points.
the family, Deborah's family, was a follower of your dad.
My mother was
And then you were working. Okay. Okay. I understand.
devoted.
I love it.
So, no, this is a fabulous story. So we were just talking about, some of your guests before the show, and we were talking about the fact that many of them are from the U.S. And so you do serve so many of these American guests from all states in the Union. How has that binational identity shaped the culture of the place of Rancho La Puerta?
It's one of the things we most celebrate. We find that place where cultures engage and meet each other usually produces the most meaningful connections and sort of the deepest inspiration. It's an opportunity to really feel who you are, to explore who you are in the context of different cultures, and to take the best from each culture. So we coexist in this wonderful mingling. Our diet, people talk about food and fusion with food, but my father always had a Mediterranean diet as his foundation for good health. Lots of whole grains, unprocessed foods, plenty of fruits and vegetables. And then when they came to Mexico, there was the Mexican diet, and our cuisine is really Mexican Mediterranean. Apart from being ultra healthy, it's so delicious.
I can see
And
that.
I would just use that as a metaphor for how these things come together. We have sort of wisdom traditions from different cultures that inform the ranch. But our American guests, they love the feeling of warmth and community that Mexican culture brings. We have a lot of fiestas. Maybe that's something else. And so, we'll have Cinco de Mayo, and we'll also have 4th of July. We have a posada before Christmas where we have Mary and Joseph and a donkey, and we go from building to building. Our employees and the American guests gather, and we sing the appropriate songs. We have buñuelos at the end and churros. And so our American guests really get an introduction to Mexican culture, and many of them so fall in love with it that they go on to become people that really promote their experience back home, and they bring friends with them.
I love it.
So Tecate is a pueblo mágico. Tecate has a lot of restaurants to offer. The culinary tradition is really strong there. We have a lot of former chefs who founded restaurants. But there's also a strong wellness impulse in the community that started from the ranch. It was like the chispa for all of that. And so there are lots of mini marathons and hikers, and there's a sense that Tecate is a healthy community. And our employees also, in their relationship with the guests, they're able to share from their culture in an intimate way. It's a beautiful way in which the friendships arise.
I mean, and I can see that it was really because of the Rancho La Puerta that Tecate received its naming as a pueblo mágico. Probably, I mean, you had a lot to do with it. Let's put it this way.
Yeah, and same thing. You were saying how they were pioneers with all this wellness movement. Even now that I understand with the food, now is Baja is known of this like Mediterranean, Mexiterranean, and you guys kind of like put it in the map as well.
We benefited.
That's great.
Also,
that's
yes.
amazing. Yeah.
The Baja Med cuisine.
However, we have been talking about all this, how wholesome, how like back to roots you have always been and you are. But now we see this global movement with a younger clientele that has more digital, more global. How is Rancho La Puerta needed to adapt to this new clients, or what are you doing different?
I think they adapted to us.
I love that.
We were there first.
It's like almost like leave your digital world behind. So give me your cell phone, give me your laptop,
We actually used to pick up the cell phones, but now they come so often that they want to continue running their business.
We have
So
a
I
cell
don't think-
phone sleeping bag in all of the rooms.
I
It's
see.
very pretty, and we encourage people to put them away, or if they are using them, to use them only for
Hmm.
photos.
Hmm.
So we do have Wi-Fi in many parts of the
Mhm,
ranch.
mhm.
But this whole concept of digital detox,
Yes.
so much of the ranch's healing comes from people being present,
Yes.
just slowing down. Slowing down is like such good medicine for our culture right now.
Mm.
And being able to be fully present means that you are not living your life virtually.
Yeah.
So we strongly encourage
Mhm, mhm.
people not to be connected while they're there. And what happens is that people remember the art of conversation and making new friends, and they begin to feel their body in a different way.
Yes.
Like when we are constantly being in that outwardly connected, high stimulus world, we're often not in our bodies at
Yes,
all.
correct.
And people come to the ranch for a week,
Mm.
and it takes the first 3 days just to arrive.
Yes, I can see
And they
that.
typically stay, what, a week? Or
They typically stay a week. We do have short stays that are Saturday to Wednesday or Wednesday to Saturday.
Mm.
And that was we adapted.
Mm.
That was something we resisted for a long time,
Mhm.
and that we started about 8 years ago.
And it's particularly valid for San Diego people
Oh,
to be able to
perfect.
come for half a week.
I love it. We will be there and saying hi to you.
Vamos a una pequeña pausa. Estás escuchando Border Masters. Regresamos en un momento.
We want to thank the South County Economic Development Council for being our ally. They create partnerships for a vibrant South County. Together with their community and business partners, South County EDC is creating opportunity, enhancing quality of life, and helping residents and businesses thrive across a dynamic binational region. The United States-Mexico Chamber of Commerce's purpose is to expand economic activity between the two countries by helping companies enter or grow in the U.S. or Mexican markets. The organization supports companies with information, guidance, and strategic tools to navigate cross-border business environments effectively. They organize events covering topics such as import-export strategies, economic updates, technology trends, banking, taxes, and industry-specific challenges, helping members stay informed and competitive. For more information, visit their website at www.usmcocca.org.
Border Masters está de regreso. Volvamos con Gustavo y Monique.
I love something that you said about slowing down. I see so many at work, even my parents, and that they tell me, for example, Monique, how can you meditate? Or I cannot stay still. How can you do yoga? Why would you say, Deborah, for people that actually they feel that they cannot slow down? They feel it in their bodies.
They feel insecure.
Mm,
They're trying to do too many things at one time instead of deciding what they're going to do.
mhm,
They
mhm.
should grow up, become an adult, and decide what they want to do for the rest of their years or for how many years. Because if you're trying to do too many things at one time, none of them get real attention.
Yes.
Reflection,
Yes.
right? That time for reflection.
Yeah.
Let
But
me,
I think
yeah.
it's much more than that. Our nervous system gets stuck.
Mm.
Mm.
And so the ancient traditions that my father brought that are connected to breath and are very well known in yoga really are able to change the way our nervous system is. And so for a lot of people, they're living their life out of that kind of arousal, and it's very difficult to unwind it. So a lot of the classes that we offer, for example, sound healing,
Mm.
people lie down. It's like
I love
adult nap time.
I love
And you lie down on your blankie and cover up and are bathed by this beautiful healing music from the crystal bowls. And we've had to add a second class. There's room for 40 people
Oh wow.
in each class.
Hmm.
So we've had to add a second class because it's so popular.
Yeah.
And we do breathing programs and exercises and meditation. And our mountain hikes also, when you begin the day also with that oxygenated reset, it really, really helps. There's more space, more expansion inside.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something that we can't really take credit for. It's in our physiology.
Mm-hmm.
The contact with nature, right? That is so good for you.
And you talk about all these people who come to the ranch. What's the most people you might have at any one time there?
We're full at 160, but if we have lots of heads on beds, lots of couples, it'll be 180.
Okay.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
And I'm very curious about your guests. Where do they come from? And how have you built the trust that gets them to cross the border? We were talking about what is that experience that they feel for them to feel safe and for that border crossing to be seamless.
You would almost have to talk to them.
Hmm.
Nobody seems to worry about the border among our guests.
Okay.
They come, and most of our guests have been there before. They come back again and again. And most of them, the majority, come from the LA area, but they come from all over the United States, so that on any given week we have guests from all over. And mainly, obviously, the United States. But we have a lot of Canadians who come every year during the winter.
Mm-hmm.
We have a good Canadian group.
Mm-hmm.
We list them separately.
Yeah. People come to the ranch and they say that it feels like coming home to grandmother's house. And they like that things haven't changed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And my task as the main designer is that when we do add something, and we do add things all the time, that I make it feel like it's always been there.
Okay. Very seamless.
So the familiarity is something that's important for them, the continuity, the stability. And we do things, we work a lot to improve the actual logistics of crossing the border, picking people up at the airport.
That's
our
important.
whole department that handles that. And when things change, then we have to adapt. But we try to make it as unthreatening, as comfortable, and as full of ease as possible. And there's also people meet each other on the bus from the San Diego airport. And so oftentimes I will be sitting with someone and they'll be telling me about someone they met on the bus, and then they'll go find them. So the relationships begin there.
Yeah, very, very kind of like concierge-like, because I actually have met people that are clients of yours in Rancho La Puerta, but they have never crossed to Valle de Guadalupe, for example, which blows my mind. Like, oh, so you do cross the border to Tecate, to Rancho La Puerta, but oh no, I have never been to Valle. Which again, what I wonder, what have you done differently that others need to learn from?
Well, we accompany them. We send them information with their confirmation.
We've been there since 1940.
Exactly.
We planted the trees, the gardens, everything, and it just was good fortune.
And you built up that reputation.
Yeah.
So when people hear about it, as you say,
people come back again and again and again. So the number of guests who've been there 10 times is almost not quite the majority, but awfully.
And I'm assuming they tell their friends, tell their acquaintances,
and they bring their friends, they bring relatives. And we had one lady who had a total fit because she came from New York, and she didn't tell her sister who lived in California.
Oh my goodness.
And they met at the ranch.
Oh no, that's true. Wow. That's so funny. Can we still find your dad's information, knowledge, books, everything to study them, to read about them? Is there something that you have available at the ranch as well?
We have his books in the library, and we have them in the reference area as well. People can check them out and they can read them in our reading room. It's harder and harder to find his books. The used books are pretty expensive now, which is very surprising. My mom has a collection of Dickens, a first edition, and the bookseller that came to look at it, when he found out that we were connected to Edmund Szekely, he said, Well, if you have any of those books, they would be really valuable,
Yeah.
which surprised me hugely.
Wow.
But I have been writing a book about my father's teachings, and I've
Excellent.
had to set it
Great idea.
aside
Mm.
because I'm one of those people who works too hard right now. But I can't wait to go back to it. It's 90% complete, and it's a reader. So I chose what I felt were the most relevant passages from the many books that he wrote.
My daughter is the president and runs the.
Yes.
I know.
I'm
I can see
retired
it.
and have a good time.
I love it.
No,
You deserve
it's
it.
fantastic. But when you, Sara Livia, now we're talking a little bit about more of your responsibility in leading this organization, this company for many years now. When you inherit a legacy like this, as iconic as Rancho La Puerta, what does leadership look like? What's been the most challenging aspect about, evolving this concept, this idea, whilst staying true to its roots?
That's a big question, and there are a lot of different ways to talk about it. I would say that my mother was a really good example of servant leadership, and the ranch is all about service. So it's just continuing to find ways in which we can serve our community, our responsibility to the land, to our guests, to our employees, to the city of Tecate. A huge part of my life has been shaped through our nonprofit work, through Fundación La Puerta. And that's actually been a huge focus for me. But I would say carrying the legacy, since my mother is still alive and she has continued to carry her part, I had to create an identity that was quite different. So she's the face for the ranch for all of these years from a different era. And for me, because I was really focused on conservation, on organic agriculture, on gardens, horticulture, a connection to nature for healing. It was an area that my mother basically didn't dominate. So I had a space in which to grow my own presence. And so the nonprofit really, really grew under my care. It's been 40 years now.
Wow.
And environmental education for the town, working with, we have a wonderful Kumeyaay woman who comes and she does herb walks and teaches about native indigenous medicine. I created the cooking school and the organic farm. So part of it is that the legacy continues through me. And part of it is also my legacy, that tributary of my interest that I was able to bring into the larger stream of the ranch.
Yeah. And that was something that I was going to ask you. What's the rancho impact to the community, to the broader community, to the people of Tecate? How do the people from Tecate see Rancho La Puerta and vice versa?
You would have to ask them, but almost everybody has a parent or a grandparent or cousin or is connected to the ranch.
I'm sure.
It's somebody who's never been to the ranch.
Yes.
Somebody who can't commit potentially a whole week. Is there another way to experience Rancho La Puerta?
We have 3-day stays
Okay.
for local people. But I say you cannot have a miracle in less than a week.
Yes.
We have a podcast that's available in all the places where podcasts are usually found. It's called Resonate. Life Lessons and Conversations from Rancho La Puerta.
I love that.
So it's a way to connect.
It's a good way
It's a
to
one
connect.
way,
You
yes.
get to hear from the people that are coming to speak at the ranch.
That's great. And you were also telling us about your work at Fundación La Puerta.
Yes, the depth and breadth of Fundación, it's been changing and evolving for a long time.
40 years.
When it started, we're about to turn 50. Next year is going to be our 50th anniversary.
Oh, wow.
But the first 10 years when we started, it was looking inward to our employee community more. So we were helping with scholarship funds, medical and legal support, and it evolved into something very different and very present in the community. When my father died in 1979, we created a park to honor him, Parque del Profesor. It's
Of course.
it's a 30-acre park. We have over 100,000 users a year.
My goodness.
We serve all the city schools. We have environmental education programs, urban horticulture programs for families. So Tecate is becoming known as a place that has community gardens in it. We have a youth volunteer and leadership cohorts that go back to 1998.
Oh, wow.
And so some of the leaders in the community were volunteers then. So the generations within the ranch, both of guests and employees, are also in the community. So we have all these generational transfer of legacy as well. So many people whose family were shaped by the ranch, but so many that now the culture of Tecate is often shaped by those people. Our employees are very active. Altruism is one of our core values. And so when we, for example, decided to have a Day of the Dead festival 25 years ago, it started really small in the park where we had altars and schools came and put up altars. And now it's a festival. The whole town participates. There's a parade down the middle of town.
I love it.
We had 18,000 people participate, and we were given an award by Congress as part of the cultural patrimony of northern Mexico.
Wow. Well,
That's beautiful.
you have built almost like the history of
you've
Tecate.
grown with Tecate. I mean, as you said, Deborah was saying that, when they got to Tecate, there were just very few people there. Now it's 180,000 people, 200,000. I mean, it's
125, 130,000.
Yes.
Wow.
And we've also conserved 3,000 acres of land on the mountain. And the park has 20 acres of chaparral, which is the educational part. And it's a safe place for people to come and recreate. And it's usually when people come from out of town, they bring them to Parque del Profesor. So it's not only a beautiful place to gather, but where a lot of learning and evolution of thinking happens in Tecate. We also advocated for the river when it was going to be channeled in cement. We led a big campaign. So we rescued the river, and then we've led river cleanups now for 25 years. And, the fact that the city has turned back to the river, the planning process for the Plan Maestro del Rio, what we were able to do was have the cultural performing arts center, the stadium, all of those things now are along the river. Where and 20 years ago that would not have been the case. So the idea that you could revive a natural amenity and create an iconic part of the community, walking paths and cycling paths.
Beautiful. That's so beautiful. Thank you for doing all of that. Can children go to Rancho La Puerta, or is that no?
We have a family camp.
Okay.
A family week that is very well attended. And those kids come back year after year. They graduate and they become counselors. And you can come to the ranch age 14 and up.
Okay, 14 and
That's in the summer?
No, any time of the year if you're 14 and up. But the family camp is in the summer. It's the end of July.
I see.
And we also have a bring your child to work. So that's when everybody has their little duckling with them. It's wonderful to see that. And so the child shadows their parent, and whether it's the front desk or in the gardens or in maintenance, or it's
so special.
And so that child grows up imagining that they might one day work at the ranch.
So special. Yeah, thank you for doing all of that. Deborah, we're almost out of time. Is there any story that we miss and that you want to tell us?
I'm sure.
That you say, like, everybody who
will be here
this.
for the next week.
Okay, perfect. Anything that we missed that you think it's important?
The main thing is that all our guests return and return and return and return. Once they've been, this just becomes part of their life. And they all become conscious of eating healthy, living healthy, exercising, walking. We try to get everyone to walk a mile a day.
Wow.
All those things. And they take those things home and they bring them back when they come back with their sisters and brothers and cousins and everything. So the ranch is really a big family. It's a gift of God. It really is. Mount Kuchuma was blessed and shares their blessings.
That's beautiful.
Beautifully put. Before we leave the podcast, we always ask this question of our guests. When you hear the words border masters, what do you think? What comes to mind?
Well, I haven't heard it often enough to give it a thing. But I like the term now that I've met it. And I think it's a it's a very correct term, and we will use it.
You are welcome to use it. And do you, Sara Livia, I don't know, what do you think about it?
I think it's a really good question because everybody is going to internalize these strange lives we live as bichos raros en todos los lados de la frontera, to the way in which these disparate experiences come together and then give rise to something that's very unique. I think that we're receiving feedback loops that other people don't have. We're being able to see how our Mexican community responds, how our community sees us constantly reflected back through different eyes. So it's just like being granted this very rich environment to constantly challenge you and make you grow in a way that I think it generates something that's really unique.
Yes, we had not heard that. That's beautifully said. And do you both consider yourselves border masters?
Well, since I've just met the term, I like the term and appreciate it, and would consider myself, yes, I'm a border master.
Yes, you are.
You are. You definitely are.
What about you, Sara Livia?
I think of myself as much more rooted in Tecate. Like that's where I've flowered.
I love it.
And far less in San Diego.
Oh, wow.
So I feel like I'm leaning into the Mexican side of the border more.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I have attained the level of a border master with sort of equal influence and presence on both sides of the border.
I will say that you are with everything that you have built, with the seamless connection that you have done for people to see two countries as one and two cultures as one. I think what you were describing about the two parties is how we live in the border. And a lot of people, it's such a unique opportunity. And I don't think that a lot of people can think in two or more languages and experience culture in two or more ways, which I think is beautiful.
When we cross the border, they say, "Hi, Deborah, good to see you."
They all know you.
I'm sure.
To us, it's not a border.
No,
right?
Of course.
It's friends.
Exactly. I love that.
This, I've got to tell you that this podcast, this episode has been incredibly meaningful.
Thank you.
For us, certainly. And it's not just about hearing the story of Rancho La Puerta. It's also about the spirit behind it, which I think both Deborah and Sara Livia are getting at here. That, I mean, I'm sure we can talk for a long time about that spirit that guides this incredible organization that has been so meaningful to so many people on both sides of the border. So we really appreciate your being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for everyone listening. You can find more about the podcast that Rancho La Puerta has, I'm sure, in Spotify as well as Border Masters, that you can find it at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and olasmedia.com. If you have any questions or suggestions, feel free to reach out to info@bordermasterpodcast.com. Borders aren't just lines on a map. There are lives, ideas, and futures meet. Thank you, and we'll see you at the next episode of Border Masters.
This episode of Border Masters fue creado por un Dream Team. JC Polk, nuestro production consultant that supports us con su experiencia y creatividad. Lina Álvarez, nuestra executive producer, siempre al mando. Ulises Bretón, nuestro creative director, bringing the vision to life. Alan González, el audio engineer, que nos hace sonar increíble. Y un agradecimiento especial a Chad Peace, founder y presidente, por ser la inspiración detrás de todo esto. Producido entre la sunny San Diego, California y la vibrant Tijuana, Baja California, Olas Media es parte de ABC Media Group. ¿Quieres más? Check out olasmedia.com para más episodios y el blog del show. Gracias por escucharnos. De parte de Gustavo y Monique, nos vemos la próxima vez.
Olas Media.
The Otay Mesa Chamber of Commerce is the premier business development and advocacy organization in Otay Mesa, keeping you up to date on critical trade issues. The Chamber's events and programs are excellent for networking and staying informed about border and industry trends. You can find them at www.otaymesa.org. Smart Border Coalition une a la comunidad transfronteriza para analizar los retos de la frontera y construir soluciones juntos. La organización reúne a líderes de ambos lados de la frontera para dialogar, entender los desafíos y convertir ideas en acción. Búscalos en www.smartbordercoalition.com.